Hi, Deborah LeeAnn here, and I am um, dropping in to presence with you at this moment to talk about conflict, to talk about confrontation, and to talk about how to stay centered um, into the into our bigger, wider purpose and love center while we feel like we're getting knocked out of center. And this is happening more and more. We get triggered by the news. We get triggered by something we read in on our phones, media, or texts, or whatever ways that we're consuming the outside world. And it could be somewhere close up, close and personal, like with family and dear loved ones, that it almost feels like our nerve endings are on the outside of our body because we're starting to feel more. We have signed up to be here during this time of the great change, and evolution is quickening. Um, and we're still in the process of this transformation. And it's for me, at least, it's a lot of rewiring, a lot of reprogramming my old ways of being, my old patterns, um, very much around my righteous, I know it all, perfectionist, controlling is starting to fall away. Um, and I'm noticing it more when she begins to speak up. And what I'm noticing is I want to love more. I want to be loving more. I've even got a new mantra that has to do with embodying loving presence. I believe that's my work in the world. And that is what, when I state that and come back to that center, I'm able to listen and really feel the other person as they are sharing with me what's going on with them. So there's a couple pieces to staying centered and present and embodied in dialogue, especially when it gets heated or difficult or stressful or confrontational in any way, where there's differing sides of seeing the world perspectives. So let's drop in first and allow ourselves to feel what center feels like. And I invite you to drop all the way down into your lower half of your body. You can lower your gaze or close your eyes, whatever feels most appropriate at this moment. If you're driving, you can still do this work. I invite you to just really feel yourself in the seat, feel your hands on the steering wheel, and heighten your senses. Notice the colors, hear the sounds, and feel your body in this moment in time. For those of us who are in a more relaxed place, not in front of a steering wheel, I invite you to just drop in and feel your breath, slow down. Notice how giving your body the permission to be here in this moment allows things to soften, maybe even open. See if you can't soften your face even more around your eyes. We hold a lot of my eyes, I'll speak for myself. I hold a lot of tension. So allowing that whole area around your eyes, your ears, your jawline to just soften, and allowing that softening to go down through your shoulders, opening your heart space, and seeing if that allows your breath to deepen and widen and slow down. When we're in this space of relaxing into our bodies, I invite you also to float upwards, as a friend of mine teaches, to allow your head to feel like it's being like a balloon and it's being propelled upwards with helium. And this elongates our neck, which is the area that we're healing a lot right now, our channel of communication, our expression of our truth and our beingness, and sharing our gifts in the world, which in the past wasn't as easy. It's not, still not always easy, but it's becoming easier the more that we practice. When we're in this elongated, floating upwards while relaxing downwards, we can feel a column of energy. It's almost like we're tapped in, plugged in to whatever this higher dimension or spiritual dimension is for you, as well as being plugged in, dropping into and being rooted into the electromagnetic connection we have as physical beings on this planet, allowing gravity to hold us while also allowing the energy to uplift us. I like to call this elongated state, this column that we have now become of flowing energy, our center of dignity. Let's breathe into that. It's also a juxtaposition. It's how can we be energetic spiritual beings as well as physical beings? Very often we tend to be one or the other. We're in movement, physical space, or we're in meditation space. And it's allowing us to be both. Next, we want to feel if we can extend our energy out to the sides. This dimension of connection is how we take our beingness and expand that aura, if you will, that we have, and we always have, as far out as our arms will reach. And then imagine that we can extend it out even farther to the edges of the room and beyond. This dimension of connection and being fully embodying in both sides of our brain, both sides of our body, the intuitive and the intellectual, the logical and the creative, the right and left brain hemispheres allow us to drop back, literally back into the back and the center of our brain, our awareness center, so that we can see with a broader range, a wider periphery. This allows us to see more, to be more, to hear more, to sense more. Very often, I notice this when my eyes get tightened and I focus on something that it limits my ability to see and be more. So this connection allows us to be open-hearted. We're not closed down. And this way, we actually are pushing away the connection that we crave. And especially in conflict, noticing when we're in stress mode, what does our body do? Do we crouch in? Do we back up? Do we literally, I've seen people with their hands become fists. And noticing what your body does so that you can relax that. So I tend to put my hands in my lap and keep my palms open in a receptive space. I tend to notice when I get tight here and allow my shoulders to soften. When I do so, I'm more present and I'm more able to be with the other person, the situation at hand. Next is to find myself in complete, open, listening, and receptive mode. This is not thinking about the past. Maybe the dynamics with this person are, cycling back around to something that happened previously. I don't want to go back and visit that because what if I'm missing the opportunity of something different in this moment? So it's not operating from back there. Yes, calling upon the wisdom of what I've learned, but not hanging out in that headspace. I'm also not leaning forward into what could be, what I want out of this conversation, where I want this to go. No, I'm dropping in being curious and open and staying connected. I don't want to break this. So I want this to stay open. This channel needs to be open with my heart open to them so that they will mirror my embodiment. They can sense that they can relax because I am relaxed. If I'm tense, I create that in the other person. So see if you can't. And this is the thing that is so typical for us is we get upset because we get out of that space, and all it takes is a breath and a recognition and a softening. And even sometimes I have to say, wow, for a minute there, I just got hijacked by something. So let me get back into this moment. Can you repeat what you just said? I want to be able to really hear you. This is key because we're going to be in and out of that center space, getting knocked in and out. Thoughts come up, reactions show up in our bodies. But can we allow that to be and soften back in and open our hearts and listen more deeply again? If we miss something, ask the person to repeat it. Let them know how important it is that we understand them in this space. And the last piece is to recall why you want this. Why do you want this confrontation, this communication? What is it about? You're wanting to create connection, create a more loving space, create a space where you can live together, work together, complete a project together, whatever it is. So dropping into that why is not like where I want this to go. It's not, but it is because I want to keep the connection with this person. So the purpose is really important to keep coming centered back into. So we're centering into our dignity, we're centering into connection, we're centering into the present moment of now, and then we're centering into our purpose. There is a scientific way of having successfully construct a confrontation message. And how I was taught it by Our Community Listens, which is the simplest way I've ever seen it put. And I'm going to borrow from them, from the Chapman Foundation's Our Community Listens program. It is about using the acronym FBI. F like feelings, B like behaviors, and I like the impact. So the FBI helps us to remember, and it doesn't have to be in that order, but it's a great way for to construct our message. So when we open the conversation, it's really helpful to say, I've been feeling disappointed, annoyed, something more than glad, mad, sad, bad. Those very generic things are kind of hard for anybody to relate to. But if we say, man, I've really been feeling disillusioned in what's going on out there, and feeling like things are easily annoying me, and I just needed to share with you how I've been feeling. And when we say something a little more specific like that, those in between kind of feelings, it allows the other person to go, okay, got it. And you can even use metaphors. I've been feeling a bit unhinged, disconnected from you, kind of like when our Wi-Fi is intermittent and we get stopping and starting when we're playing back a video. And I miss that. I want that continuity. I want that connection more regularly. So using metaphors is helpful as well. Painting a picture, being a little bit more clear on what the feeling, the emotion is at the time. And then stating the behavior. When I find, I'll just use one of mine that's annoying. When I find the sponge sitting in the sink, sopping wet, it I have to pick it up and put it aside, and it gets moldy. And so then I go into the impact. So when I see this behavior, when I see this action, when I see this thing, um, uh, whatever it is that the person has done that you're wanting to ask for change. Remember, this is a request for change. They may or may not decide to grant it. And you're just communicating that request by stating your feelings first, stating the behavior clearly without judgment, without, you always do this and it's so annoying when, that you don't pick up on it after yourself. That's such a blanket statement. It's not true. And so when we say this specific thing, leaving the sponge in the sink, sopping wet, creates an impact. It creates a moldy, stinky, not very clean sponge for us to use anywhere on the countertops or whatever. So the impact is a bigger, broader thing, which then makes me feel like our kitchen can't be kept as clean as easily as whatever. Or we have to replace the sponge more often because it becomes moldy, or there's a cost involved, or there's an impact of some sort. It impacts our relationship because I get annoyed. So there's something that we're wanting to explain in terms of the impact. When you are late picking me up from such and such, it creates this feeling of tension. I worry that you're in an accident, and there's an impact then, because then I feel like you're not, you don't care. Whatever, we're taking it bigger and broader. If it's in a work situation, it can easily be when you come to work late, it puts our whole morning off, and everybody's a little bit scrambling, and it starts everybody off in a cranky mood because everybody's feeling like they're picking up the slack for the person that's not there. It creates a less than stellar environment for us to begin our day, our work day. So we're starting with the feelings, being super clear, even using analogies or metaphors to paint the picture of what that feeling is, making sure that the behavior, almost as if you've watched it. And this is something I learned from a local arts organization, did a leadership training one day. And one of the things they were using is the various forms of arts and how they could support us in our leadership. And the thing that stuck out with me the most was using theater as a beautiful way of providing feedback to others. In the theater, the director, who's got the big picture of the whole show, says to an actor who runs on stage, I saw you run on stage. This is how it appeared to me. It appeared to me that you were, running from something, that you were afraid, that you were whatever. And then what I'm asking is that you saunter on stage in a way that shows that you're relaxed and happy and you're ready to begin this scene, because it'll change the whole dynamic of the whole scene. So again, you're using that really clear, what I saw and what I'm requesting you to do. So it's the last two of the FBI. It's the behavior, clearly stated, and the request for change. What I'm looking for to make this scene happen the way I would like it to be. This is what I'm asking for. So following that example, it's the same type of way of coming back to being clear. The emotion is there, but it's not in the moment. The emotion was alluded to, that when this action happens, this is what I feel like, and da da da. But it's not blaming, and there's no judgment. There's not words in there that will derail the message in being received by the other. And this is a place of coming from love, because as the messenger, we are delivering this request for change in a way that we're wanting to be heard. And then we are quiet and say, how do you feel about that? How does that land with you? Any ideas how we move forward from here? And you are quiet and open that space and open your ears and open your heart to be able to feel the other person's discomfort as they maybe find ways to respond, or maybe not. Maybe they'll be perfectly comfortable in being able to respond as to how they see the world and how they would like to see things change as well. Because then they might put a request for change back towards us, which is what it's all about. We're here to work together, right? So I wanted to thank you for listening to this very short and very quickly delivered piece of information. And I am wishing you success as you continue to practice being a love uh, being in the process of loving. As we expand our beingness of love in the world, how do we drop into center and continue to tell our truth, but in a way that creates connection versus burns the bridges? So much love and thanks for being here.